Pakistan. America ghar nahi khe.
I was refugee in Pakistan. I was refugee in Iran. I was refugee in Dubai. And now I'm a refugee in France.
Les gens, quand tu es handicapé, ils n'essaient même pas de voir ce que tu es capable de faire, mais ils te jugent à travers ton handicap.
Haberme venido no fue una buena idea.
यहाँ की लड़कियां कुछ नहीं कर सकती।
लाइट रहित, उजियार रहित, हमरो बाल बचाव उजियार रहित.
Agama mifumidam beni sapnemi, bem mushkilnemi kharta.
Porque se todo mundo tivesse alimento em casa, ela podia raciocinar. Então, poderia ser pobre, mas teria inteligência na cabeça para poder sair dali.
Parce que na mukil mutu azwana mission na onzamba tindelai. Ngape na za mukil pona mission na ngai me nzambe ndaebi.
I've left my husband to be with a woman, and for me that's a huge step in my country as an African woman to do that. I do have a strong voice and I'm strong as a woman speaking for myself.
Nous devons dire au monde que nous existons, que vous êtes là. Et je suis sûr qu'aucune misère, aucune pauvreté extrême n'est pas une fatalité. On peut la combattre.
Afaka ihany fa mba tsy hitovy amin'le hoe toerana nisy atsony zany fa mba lasa ambonimbony kokoa zany izy dia tamiko ny reniny dia famihina teo zany any Telmiana.
The pandemic has increased inequalities for women and girls in all areas of life. And yet, there's never been more momentum to overhaul the power dynamics of gender, demanding change, challenging norms, sharing power.
Education is the right of every child, and especially for girls, this right should not be neglected.
There's so much left to do, and soon is not soon enough to get the world's to-do list for gender equality done.
We must, if we want to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, if we want to have a better world, we must have women and men in full equality.
Now is the time to get specific. Every global citizen owes it to every citizen on the globe to fight for more women in positions of power, an urgent end to violence against women and girls, sexual and reproductive health rights, quality education for all girls, women equal in law, equal pay, and economic empowerment.
Achieving gender equality for the Sustainable Development Goals is bringing the 50% of our population in the world into the picture. What we need to understand is a fundamental right for all human beings.
Let's get this done. Gender equality, everywhere, now.
Our world leaders have two responsibilities. Their responsibilities towards their own country and people, and their responsibility as members of the United Nations to the world as a whole, their global responsibilities. Never has this been more true than in the fight against man-made climate change. We call on all leaders to recognize their responsibilities and redouble their efforts as those who find themselves in charge in this decade of global climate crisis. The more countries pollute, the greater their global responsibilities. These are the key elements of the world's climate to-do list to achieve the global goals. Limit global heating to 1.5 degrees Celsius. To do this, cut carbon pollution to get to a net zero world by 2050. Invest in renewable energy. No more coal, no fossil fuel investment. Support and fund climate action in developing countries and stop the destruction of nature. The world is making progress, but nowhere near fast enough.
We see catastrophic events more and more multiplying everywhere. And again, not yet enough political will to fight it effectively. And so we have a choice. Either we make a breakthrough, either we change things and get together to change things, or we have a breakdown and the world will move in the wrong direction and all of us will face terrible problems.
And we can't wait. It is code red for humanity. The planet and its people are crying out for action. Businesses and finance the world over are making their own commitments, though they must do much more. We're fighting humanity's biggest crisis. Now is the time for countries and governments and leaders to act on their commitments for the sake of themselves and for the sake of the whole world. It is their responsibility for this generation and for all the generations to come. All the nations of the world must be united, or all the nations of the world will suffer. We must protect people and planet, now and forever.
Ready. Podemos iniciar, Rocío.
Good morning, everyone from the Republic of Panama, and good afternoon from Nigeria. Thank you so much for staying here in this special webinar about the sustainable development of education in action of 2023 for children and youth. This webinar is organized of the Earth-Young leaders with the Philosophy Family Farm, Ecosystem Cafe, an international network of sustainable development goals promoters, Mexico and Panama, and Generation 2030. This is a special day because this special speaker is from Nigeria, no? My dear friend, Victor Matthew. Victor Matthew is the regional coordinator of the Charter of Leaders from Nigeria. He's a member of Ecopistin Cafe. He's actually working to a professor in education about explain the sustainable development of education with a relationship of the Air Charter. Victor, thank you so much for staying here in this special webinar because it's a commemoration of the local dialogue about the Children and Youth 2030. This parallel local dialogue is organized from the Millennials Movement. Victor, welcome again. The microphone is yours.
Thank you so much, Aroshio. Thank you for the entire wonderful time to have me here. Thanks to the entire management for organizing this, and to Air Charter, Ecopistin Cafe, and everyone that have been of a great contribution to the success of this event. I really want to appreciate everyone's efforts. And there's no way we can talk about the concept of education without we addressing the core concepts. There's no way we can talk of children, sustainable development, education, and the rest without bringing in the core concepts and the background of what really happened and what is really needed. So I will have to take us back to the Air Charter pillars. And when we look at the Air Charter pillars, we'll connect it with the SDG goals. Then we'll move further to see how we can build a sustainable city. A sustainable city should have the younger generation in mind. And that's the only way we can call it a sustainable city. So we'll go first with the Air Charter Pillar 2. The Air Charter Pillar 2, which is emphasizing on the ecological integrity. And from this, we'll be looking at the 5th, then we'll also look at the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, and how did this really form a framework connected to the SDG 7, 12, and 13. We'll all see into this. So can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, yeah. So protect and restore the integrity of Earth's ecological systems with special concern for biological diversity and the natural process that sustains life. So here we're really talking about the natural concept, the natural systems that sustain life and how we need to protect it. Every city is gotten from a village, and a village system is basically have the highest standard of natural processes to life. So how do we really balance up this and build up this system that whenever we are building up a city, we are building up not just a city, but we are building up a city that is sustainable. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, so we have the 6th, we say prevent harm as the best method of environmental protection. And when knowledge is limited, apply a precautionary approach. Now, applying precautionary approach will have to bring us to the point where, we know that we have to prevent harm against the environment. And if this harm is also in place, then we have to come with other strategic methods. And that's why we have the place of environmental education, the place of climate change education, the place of a systemic education where we have to bring into balance where life, nature, and human activity play a role in making the world a better place. And addressing such issue, we'll have to bring it into balance that this needed to be taught. So in places where we have limited knowledge, precautionary measures, such as, okay, this is this, oh, if we have other measures, we have to bring balance into the system. Okay, we need to plant more trees. We need to do this. We need to do that. And this will bring up a precautionary measures. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, adopt patterns of production. Adopt pattern of production, consumption, and reproduction that safeguards Earth's regenerative capacity, human rights, and community well-being. So in as much as we are interested in a mega city, we have to bring sustainability in place. And this will have to safeguard all the regenerative capacities and the human rights we've had before then into place. And if we can achieve this, then we can really say, oh, this city is sustainable. So sustainable city, which is what we'll be looking at, is a city that have all this perspective, the safeguard of the Earth's regenerative capacity, human rights, and community well-being in place. So we have to look at the next slide, please. Okay. So the next slide talks about advance the study of ecological sustainability and promotes the open exchange and wide application of the knowledge acquired. So this one is exactly what we are currently doing here. So in the promotion of these SDG goals, there is need for sound knowledge. And this sound knowledge is needed so we can have a well-sound ecological integrity. So if you have the sound knowledge, it means we have so much we can attain, so much we can do, so much we can really acquire, so much to do. And all this effort put together makes a sustainable city. Can we have the next slide, please? So we can see the connection between the Earth Charter Pillar 2 and the SDG. So we have the Earth Charter Pillar 2 and the SDG 6, and also the SDG 12, and we have the SDG 13. So the SDG, this connects this together. So we have clean water and sanitation, and we also have responsible consumption and production. Then we have the climate change. So when we look into the Earth Charter Pillar 2, dealing with the ecological integrity, you see that it balances up these SDGs. So we have clean energy, we have the aspect of, we have sustainable cities and communities, we have life below waters, and we have life on land. So you see this concept all, 7, 11, 6, 12, 13, 14, and 15. These are the aspects of the Earth Charter Pillar connecting with the SDGs. So all this makes life worthy. And that's the only way we can talk about the Earth's regenerative system. If only we can bring up a system that balances up these SDGs, then we are really in track. Can we have the next slide, please? The next slide says, make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So the SDG 11 talks basically on sustainable cities and communities. And to address this, we have to think of strategic approaches to, okay, how do we make cities and human settlements inclusive? How do we make this safe, bringing in the human rights into place? How does this become resilient? We have to learn strategic approach and also, finally, sustainability. How do we address this sustainably? Are the practices we are practicing in this city currently, will it be what our future generation can really stay in? Will this really affect the resources available? How do we put this in place? So these are questions to ask whenever we are trying to make a city sustainable. We have to bring into consideration the fact that, oh, this city must be safe, this city must be resilient, and it must be sustainable. Then we can really call it an effective city that is headed up to regeneration. For a nation to take place, it must be safe. And we can't address such cities when it is not really safe. So we can only say a city is safe when we have all these practices that link up the Earth Charter Pillar 2 and the SDG 7, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, and 14 together. So can we see the next slide? So we move further. So we have the need to be a future in which cities provide opportunity for all with the access to basic services, energy, housing, transport, and more. So we'll be looking at, okay, this city, for a city to be sustainable, does it really have the facilities to cater for their basic services? Energy is very important for our daily use as long as the city is concerned. Or about the housing? Or about the transportation? How are these things really sustainable? Are we really polluting the environment? So these are the key things we will have to look into when addressing core concept to every city. So the next slide will be giving us a concept of the UN statistics and the pollution rate in the city. So can we have the next slide, please? The next slide said in 2016, 4.2 million people died from ambient air pollution. This is how terrible it has been, and this is how it has been. And there is need to address this. The fact that it has been like this doesn't mean we should keep on to this. So if 4.2 million people died from ambient air pollution, it means we have a significant role to play. The educators, the scientists, the journalists, the statistician, even the family, we all have a role to play. Okay, for instance, instead of a family, everybody taking similar car, or let's say different car to a particular occasion, we can decide to take a single car and everybody come into it, thereby reducing the amount of the pollution, the air pollution we release into the environment. There are other pollution, but the air pollution and this aspect have led to 4.2 million people dying, and this is statistics of 2016. So imagine the rate between 2016 and 2023, the amount of people that have died just from the air pollution. So can we have the next slide, please? So we have the share of, the share of urban pollution living in slum rose to 24% in 2018. So urban pollution living in slums have been on the increase. So if you have this, it means there is still more we can do. So the rise of this pollution is on the increase, and the population are on the increase. Everybody tends to move to a particular place, but we really don't realize that other places needed to be developed. Okay, for instance, the Lagos is a part of Nigeria with the highest, almost the highest population of people. What it really means, and the landmass of Lagos is not really large enough to cater for the people on this. So this has led to not just increase in pollution, there is also increase in population to the point that the landmass can't cater for it. And this has really been a problem to the society. So addressing this have to also go back to, okay, the government, what equity are we really putting in place to address that the resources are shared equally? We have 36 states, including the federal territory, which is Abuja in Nigeria. And we're looking at, okay, how do we really put in place these measures? How do we really divide, make sure that these resources are shared equally? So we have all these aspects, and these are what we needed to build upon and continually build upon to see that every city have everything in place. So the next slide now says, every slum-like condition, we have 1 to 4. of the urban residents. So say 1 out of 4 urban residents live in slum-like condition. So every 1 out of 4. So it's more of it's really not a funny condition. We have that same part. We have that same part even where I reside, which is Kano State. All these things are major problems that really affect most of this region. So you have 1 out of 4 of the urban residents live in slum-like conditions. And these slum-like conditions tend to affect the people. There is no way we can adequately teach. There's no way we can adequately enhance people's capacity when all the simple aspects are not really addressed. So bringing into states a sustainable city, we will have to look on how to address these slum-like conditions in some of these areas. And through there, we can really put in place all measures in making not just the city, but the world a better place. So we can have the next slide, please. Now, we have, well, the COVID-19 implications have really brought a lot to us. The COVID-19 really made us understand that, yes, there is a problem in the system. There is a global challenge. The system is already having an issue and we needed to fix it in place. So the sustainable city said over 90% of COVID-19 cases are in urban areas. Now, these urban areas, what it really implies is most of the pollution, most of the waste, most of the impact we are having on the environment are generally produced in the urban areas. And that is why when the COVID-19, which is a global pandemic, showed up, all those regions have not just the repercussion, but we all had the effects on everybody, including the systems, the shutdown of everything, the death of humans, and even the economic system got affected because the COVID-19. So these are basically 90% challenges that urban areas face. And this challenge needed to be addressed. Hence, we cannot have a sustainable city. So a sustainable city is a city that have in mind or that have to put into consideration the fact that no matter how sustainable it is, we must look into the ecological integrity of such city. Can we have the next slide, please? The next slide, okay. Now, this next slide, I'll be connecting this slide and the last slide to the concept of what we really experienced and the SDG commitment and the framework which Nigerians signed to see how we can attain a sustainable society. And currently, we are already getting into that. The goal has been 2030, 2030, 2030, 2030. 2030 is approximately 7 years from now. We are already in 2030. So it means everyone needs to put hands in to see how we can really make this a success. So we said the SDG 11 synthesis reports presents a joint position from the UN family on critical issues related to urbanization as a cross-cutting areas and provides insight for building effective partnership to address the data collection and monitoring needs of all related indicators. The report informed the 2018 High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development thematic review. The report highlights progress towards sustainable urbanization, targets such as affordable housing, basic services, public transportation for all, reducing air pollution, and expanding public spaces. Now, all those concepts are actually the key areas. The basic needs of man, the affordable housing, the basic services, public transportation, reducing the air pollution, because the higher the population in urban area, the more tendency to generate more pollution. And the need to educate everyone on the need that, hey, this is really important. We have a role to play. This is not just one person's role. It's not just the government role. It's individual role, government's role. Parastatals have their roles. Private organizations have their role. Even the smallest unit of the society, which is the family, have its role to play in making sure that the 2030 SDG agenda or the 2050 or any limit to which we want to have is attained. There is no way we can attain these goals when we don't really look into consideration the cardinal point. There is no way we can have a smaller land space and want to have more people come into the community. What we needed to do is, what measures are we having to make sure that there is even distribution of the resources made available? How do we really bring into equity and balance? And, oh, this community, you have this, how do we really put this in place? So all these are basic concepts that we needed to look into. So can we have the next slide, which summarizes the last slide for me? Next slide, please. Okay, so the next slide says, the federal government of Nigeria and the United Nations system in the country on Thursday, 1st December 2022, signed the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. Now, this framework is to address this concept from 2023 to 2027, and it is a 5-year framework. The cooperation framework is a 5-year given blueprint towards meeting the 2030 agenda and its SDGs. But more fundamentally, it is a commitment by the government and UN to deliver for the people of Nigeria. The UN explained, the UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Matthias, now explained for all of us to attain this framework, there is need that every system put in place for this. I'm trying to make sure that we understand this perspective, that this is not just the work of the government. Yes, the government signed this. Yes, the government accepted this. But most importantly, the government will do our part and the citizens will also play their parts. So playing this part will have to bring us into place, and we'll have to see, okay, what collective measures do we really have to see that together we'll make this a reality. And to attaining this means we need sound knowledge. The essence of this event, the essence of having this program live, thanks to Ratio and the entire management and the entire team for this, is to see that we educate everyone to see that, oh, this become a success. And I think the last slide is to thank the entire team. Thanks everyone who is present today and who have been part of this. And I'll be really glad to attend any question that is readily available. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for explaining about the relationship of the Air Charter with the Sustainable Development Goal number 11. So this is a big importance to know that how we can put the practice, the Sustainable Development Goals with the life, in the job, with the hobbies, in the all activities in the world, no? So it's very fundamental to put the practice this form, because we need more to know about why it is created in 1945 the United Nations, why is important to put the peace in the world, why is important learn to children and the youth the importance about the Sustainable Development Goals. Victor, I have one question about this webinar. Okay, about this activity in commemoration of the local dialogues, children and youth 2030. So, okay, from your perspective, Victor, what are the main difficult or pending challenges that you identify regarding in this SDGs? Your perspective.
Can I get the question again? Sorry.
Okay, from your perspective, what are the main difficult or pending challenges that you identify regarding these sustainable development goals, 11 in this case?
Okay, the major challenges in addressing this will be one thing I realize is it's easier to write, it's easier to accept, it's easier to, we'll do it. But where the major challenge come into play is the strategic measures. Are we really implementing this? So implementing this is a way bigger challenge. So it will require every team coming in place. So the challenge is not just telling us, putting it into writing. What implementation strategy do we have in place? How are we really engaging every sector, ranging from the health, education, security, family life, every other component that make up the society? How are we really putting on in place to say that, oh, this issue is addressed? We must really see that, okay, we have a role to play. Every member of the society have a role to play. And until we get to see that, it becomes a major challenge. The challenge is not that we don't have good framework. We have wonderful framework, but the major challenge is what implementation strategy do we have in place? How are we really bringing education, bringing transportation, bringing the family life, bringing in every sector into this? And until we address this, we can't really address a city. And that is really a major concern to every one of us.
Thank you, Victor. We have in this Zoom forum, in this little forum, Zoe and Zach asked for this, Victor. Great presentation, Victor. What are some small things that families can do to contribute to the development of sustainable cities and communities?
Wow, thank you so much for this question. As I've always said, family is one of the cardinal framework, cardinal parts of the system that make up the city. So one of the basic things every family should do, one of the basic tasks every family should do is to address or teach every member what the city is all about. If every person understands the role they play in the city, we are already into a sustainable city. So one key role the family can play is to first teach the children, teach the wife, and also bring a forum where they organize this and see how they can promote this within the family. So if they attain this, then the people within the community can be part of this. And that is why education is very important. So if family address their own family, instead of everyone taking the same car or taking different cars to a particular place, we can decide to, okay, every one of us, let's use one car for this purpose. Instead of everyone not using the resources properly, we have to teach them how sustainable consumption really works. No need for wastage. no need for water wastage, no need for resource wastage. So we are bringing into place sustainable consumption. So through that, we are addressing the cardinal concept. So family play a very significant role. From that family, if we attain that, one of the child goes to another community. From there, they build the same structures they've had. And like the normal Nigerian proverb that says, charity begins at home. It is whatever you teach your children at home that they will display in the society. And through there, we can really attain a sustainable society. So the family play a very significant role. And the Philosophy Family Farm have been a very great encouragement, seeing through what they are really doing. I think I can really recommend the system they are building, a framework they are really laying into the system, that this is not just a philosophy farm, but this is more of what a family needed to do as a measure to attain a sustainable city. Hope I've been able to address the question.
Thank you, Victor. I have another question. This is the next question. Okay. How do you consider that states, cooperation agencies, the private sector, and civil society should involve children, adolescents, and youth and allies to promote the progress and the implementation of this Sustainable Development Goal 11?
Okay, I don't really get the question.
I repeat again. Okay.
I really want to understand the question.
Okay. Sorry. Continue.
Okay. Can I get the question, please? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just read it one more time.
Repeat again. No problem.
Yeah.
How do you consider that states, cooperation agencies, the private sector, and civil society should involve children, adolescents, and youth and allies to promote the progress and implementation of this Sustainable Development Goal 11?
Okay, I get the question now. How do we incorporate civil society, private organization, and other stakeholders into implementing the Sustainable Development Goals 11? I guess that's the question, right? Okay, now,
yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, addressing this from the onset, I've been able to let us understand the fact that every member of a society have a role to play, either the private sector, the government, individual, even including the family. So what we have to do now is, okay, in our various capacity, in our various endeavors, in whatever we are doing, we can still promote this sound knowledge in whatever we do. So this knowledge have to, okay, why do we really play this? For instance, in school, I'm an environmental educator, and this gives me joy doing this. I incorporate all the SDG goals into all I do. So every sector have this. Also, I also teach organization systems thinking. I let them understand the role they play in making the world a better place. So we all have individual goals which we have to play in addressing these concepts, these cardinal concepts. And these goals are, everybody have its individual responsibilities. We can either cooperate together to do it, or as an organization, you have your laid down visions and mission. And how is this vision and mission addressing the cardinal goal of making the city sustainable? So addressing this concept, bringing in the SDG 11, which is a sustainable city and community, we have to actually look into every member of the system and how they are playing cardinal role in making the world a better place. So if we have to come to this, we have to teach the children that this is what needed to be done. This is how it should be. Whatever we are doing is to make the world a better place and sustainable for the future. So if later these children grow up, they will pick up from where we stop. And whatever we teach them is what they will implement. And the popular Nigerian proverbs that will always say charity begins at home is actually true. It's why pride will display at home. So this is a collaborative effort of every member of the society. And we are together in making the world a better place through every action and every decision we put in place.
Thank you very much, Victor, for explaining about the details for the Sustainable Development Goal 11. Thank you, everyone, for connecting today in this special webinar. Now, the next activity, after to finish this webinar with Victor, we are sending the Padlet link, because in this Padlet, ask a question for the participants and explain the points about the Sustainable Development Goal 11. Thank you very much. We finished the webinar, the Sustainable Development of Education in Action of Children and Youth 2030, in commemoration of the involvement process of girls, boys, adolescents, and youth from Latin America and the Caribbean in the review of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development 2023. This local dialogue is parallel activity organized with the Feminist movement, with the Earth Young leaders, the philosophy farm, with the Generation 30, the international, with the international network of Sustainable Development Goals promoters, Mexico and Panama. Well, before to finish this webinar, please, the participants, connect the camera, because we want to take the official picture of this activity. Can you put the camera, everyone? Because we want to take the picture, the official take picture. Please, Miranda, Christine, Victoria, Elwo, Yeli, Adita. Can you put the camera? Please, everyone. You need to take the picture now. Okay. 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 I can wait, no problem. I can wait. Okay, Miguel, Dr. Anila, can you put the camera? I will. Are you ready, everyone? Are you ready? Okay, Victoria, no problem. Zoya Zach asked me to put the camera. Ah, the beach. Look at Victor. Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, everyone. Ah, thank you, Zoya Zach. Okay. We are ready, because in this moment, shoot the picture now. Okay. I count 1, 2, 3. Say everyone smile. Okay. And you can put the direction. Hearts, congratulations. Use this. Okay, put the heart. Okay. Count now. 1, 2, 3. Smile, everyone, smile. Ready? Finish? the webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay here. Now, please wait in the next activity because the NCLA sent it the Padlet link because you can put your opinions, comments about this webinar and opinions too for the Sustainable Development Goal number 11. Thank you so much. My best friend for the Republic of Panama. Thank you again, Victor, for staying in this special webinar because you are unique, you're original. Thank you, love you so much. Victor is a big guy when always put the practice, the education with the Air Charter. That's great. Congratulations, Victor. You're a very good example of the entire country, of the youth. Continue for the inspiration and keep this legacy of the youth in the world.
Thank you.
Okay, see you soon, everyone. Bye-bye. Victor, stay here, please, and Zach.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone, don't forget, stay pending the email because we are sending the Padlet link. No, okay? The Padlet link is open and finish close the Padlet link in the next week. No problem. We are sending the instruction, no problem. See you soon, everyone. Bye-bye. Victor and Suasa, stay in the Zoom, please. Bye. Thank you.